My name is Paul Dalzell. I am the worship coordinator of this, the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Charleston. Welcome all of you, our members, our friends, and if this is your first time here, we welcome you and thank you for joining us today. If you came here to be told all the answers to the big questions, you will be disappointed. We won't tell you all the answers. Here, all the answers you think you may know may be questioned. What you will find is a community of people, all different, yet all united in the shared values of justice, equity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and generosity, all with love at the center, who will help you to find the answers that are right for you. Please know that we welcome you, whoever you are.
Whoever you are, we welcome you. Wherever you come from, we welcome you. Whoever you love, we welcome you. Whoever you are, we welcome you. Whoever you come from, we welcome you. Whoever you love, we welcome you.
Please do check your insert for goings-on here at UUC this coming week. But of note, next Saturday, July 26th at 7 p.m. is Trivia Night with Bob Beisner fundraiser. Come join a team, or better yet, bring your own team to come and compete for first place with a prize. Wine and snacks will be provided, but you're welcome to bring some to share. $15 buy-in per person. This is a fundraiser. Come for a night of fun and facts. And on August 2nd at 7 p.m., Spiral Moon Grove will be holding their Lunasa ritual. The wheel of the year has turned once more, and it is time for the first harvest. Please join with us to honor the god Lu and to celebrate and give thanks for the wonderful bounty the earth has provided us to prepare for the dark part of the year ahead. The ritual will begin promptly at 7. They will have a potluck feast following the ritual. Bring a dish to share if you can, but it's not required. We hope you can attend and look forward to seeing you there. Blessed be. As Maria lights our chalice, please join me in reading the words in your order of service. Let there be light. Let it shine in dark places, in moments of pain, in times of grief, in the darkness of hatred, violence, oppression, where there is discouragement and despair. Wherever darkness is to be put to flight, let there be light. Please rise in body, spirit, and voice as you are able for our Song for All, number 1002, Comfort Me.
Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, O my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, O my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, O my soul. Sing with me, sing with me, sing with me, O my soul. Speak for me, for me. Speak for me, O my soul. Speak for me. Speak for me. Speak for me, O my soul. Dance with me. Dance with me. Dance with me, oh my soul. Dance with me. Dance with me. Dance with me, oh my soul. Comfort me. Comfort me. Comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me. Comfort me. Comfort me, oh my soul.
We come to this sanctuary, whether in person or virtually, to connect with our community, sharing our joys, our celebrations, our sorrows, our concerns. Our peace and our needs helps this community become closer and stronger. And that is the community we all need in these times. Joy for the communities we are a part of, for those who hold us close, those who care, those we care for. Also a joy for early morning bike rides. Concerns. As I do almost every week I'm here, for all those who are unhoused, and for the hearts of those who condemn them and make their lives harder. Also, it's been a crazy week. House insurance was canceled, so we had to switch to State Farm and saved over $500 a year. House AC died, and lastly, we had to report a family member to APS. She hasn't been doing well after a lot of her sons were arrested in February. One of her sons, sorry. Please send thoughts and vibes to my sister Missy. She is having a hard time, and we hope she feels better soon. And twice, loss of funding for PBS and NPR. This is a blow against free speech. For all these joys and sorrows, both spoken and unspoken, may we remember shared joy is multiplied and shared sadness is diminished. As some of you know, I'm not real big on prayers. Too often, I feel they ask for someone to change things or to change others, when to me, the times they are beneficial are when they ask us to change ourselves. I think this one does that. It's For All Our Losses by Patricia Sheldon. For those we miss, for things long gone, for those whom we last held in our arms, in our hands, and in our hearts, we pray. We pray for memories to stay strong, memories of words and warmth, of actions and stillness. We pray for love, shared and lived, love to remain with us and with them, for that to become enough. We pray for the courage to put our feet on the floor when we wake, to move through the day as if we cared. O love that holds us, hold on to me while I hold on to what I have lost. May it be so. Our meditation words today are meditation on hope and love in a time of struggle. I invite you to close your eyes, to focus on a point like our chalice, or to unfocus completely. Plant your feet on the floor. Clear your mind. In a world so filled with brokenness and sorrow, it would be easy to lose ourselves in never-ending grief, to be choked by our outrage, to be paralyzed by the enormity of suffering, to feel our hearts squeezed tight with hopelessness. Instead, this morning, let us simply breathe together as we hold our hearts open. Breathing in as our hearts fill with compassion. Breathing out as we pray for healing in our world and in our lives. Breathing in, opening ourselves to the transforming power of love. Breathing out as we pray for peace in our world and in our lives. Breathing in as we hold hope in our hearts. Breathing out as we pray for justice in our world and our lives. May we know our strength. May we be filled with courage. May our love flow from us into this world. Breathing in, we are the prayer. Breathing out, we are the healing. Breathing in, we are the love. Breathing out, we are the peace. Breathing in, we are the hope. Breathing out, we are the justice. May we know our strength. May we be filled with courage. May our love flow from us into this world. May it ever be so.
I get a step stool. Wait. Okay, I have to try not to get too excited and fall off the step stool. Okay. First of all, just thank you all. This is unscripted. Actually, most of this is going to be unscripted, but thank you all for being here. It's hard to see something like grief, I would say, and want to come. So I feel like everybody in here is really brave, and thank you for your support and even just being curious and wanting to know what this will be about. I will start with saying this is going to be hard for me. I hope that it's not necessarily hard for anybody else in this room, but if it is, I'm here. And let's definitely talk after. I will stay available. I'd love to hear your story. And I will remind you at the end of this. I have been very supported in the time that I've been going through with the folks in Charleston and been getting to know so many new friends. And they've become a second home for me. So if I can be that for somebody else, it would mean a lot. If you will entertain me, I have a few interactive moments. And this is one of them, which is to take both of your hands and have them open on your lap, anywhere that's comfortable, wherever you'd like, just sort of open, palms up facing the ceiling. You can close your eyes if you'd like, but just sort of gently relax into this posture. This is called willing hands, and it's from the dialectical behavioral therapy model, but it's just generally mindfulness. And the idea is to open yourself, open your heart to whatever is coming, acceptance, and releasing control. And you can stay there as long as you like throughout the entire thing if you need to return here, but we can relax as well. And we did already do some breathing exercises, so you don't have to do this with me, but I'm going to breathe. I'm just going to breathe in and out. If I were to pick one word to describe how I'm feeling, to try to distill the complexity of grief, I would choose untethered. Let your mind wander to what that word means for you, untethered. Or if you'd choose a different one to describe what you have been through. I stand before you with the current and ongoing experience of grief. I am not an expert in this matter, but it is a human experience, and so that is what I'm speaking to you from today, just the knowing and the learning. And perhaps to tether myself again, to give myself a purpose and a drive, is why I'm here. After 11 and a half years with her, I lost my dear Simbi. Oof, it's already starting. On June 12th, I call it her ascension date. That's when I believe she joined my angel team and decided to guard me from up there. It's a lot fancier than sitting in front of me in the bathroom. I'm not sure what she was blocking there. She was a golden retriever / chow / husky. So yes, she was incredibly gorgeous. And I will show you a picture if you insist after. Her full name was Singeshwari. I made it up. It's parts of an old Indian language called Sanskrit, one of the first in the world, and it means to me the goddess of lions. And she was a goddess. She was also definitely a lioness, and she knew it. There were quite a few pictures that are still in my camera roll where she has stopped and looked at herself in the mirror. There's a Greek story, and you know they're all tragedies, so it fits right in. And there's Orpheus. He's a musician. He loses his wife, Eurydice, or Eurydice. And after she passes, he's super distraught, and he says, I'm going down to the underworld to fetch her. I'm going to convince Hades. And he goes all the way down. He writes a song, he pours his heart out, and Hades even allows him to have Eurydice back. So she follows him, and the only rule is to make sure he doesn't look behind. You can't watch that your wife is behind you. You just have to trust. And then you have to go all the way through, find the light, and go back into the world. There's a few versions of the story as it goes. Sometimes there's a misstep, sometimes there's a noise, sometimes he just loves her so much he wants to see her again. And he gets excited in some of these versions, and he turns around, and she completely dissipates, just thin air. And he loses her all over again. I say that story because to me, it means a lot of things, and it's actually really beautiful in some ways. But in this context, I take it to mean he didn't want to experience the grief of losing his wife, so he went all the way down to hell to bring her back out. He didn't want to go through that pain of losing her, and then he ended up doing it anyway because he just didn't go through the process. And so what I'm trying to do here, and what I hope to do generally, is just go through the process, because we end up losing it twice. We end up losing whatever has been attached to us or we've attached to over and over again when we don't accept it. And maybe acceptance isn't always the goal, but in this case, at least accepting that this is a journey and that we have to take it is one. So we're trying to move from, and you may have seen this in the blurb already, but from hopeless to hope lives again. And we're trying to go through this grief with grace, but not grace necessarily in the sense of like a dignified, oh, I'm doing this so beautifully, I'm doing such a great job. You're not going to get a medal, right? You're not going to get what you lost back or who you lost back, but you will be able to move through it with the grace of being who you are and retaining that and not losing who you are. And you will be able to move through it with grace for others. We're going to be switching a lot of topics here because it seems to never be enough time to be able to talk about all this stuff, but bear with me with all these transitions. So the tarot card of death, you may have already known this, but it means transformation. It's not supposed to be something scary. It's not supposed to mean when it comes up for you in a reading that you are going to die or that somebody else is going to die. It doesn't necessarily mean that. It actually just means that something is coming to a close and that the cycle is starting over and you're getting a new beginning. So transformation. And the Hindu concept, I come from the Hindu faith, which is really a conglomeration of a lot of philosophies. But it also deals with death the same way. It's a closing of a chapter and the renewal of a new one. We don't actually believe that the soul completely dissipates and there's nothing else. We believe that there is somewhere else that it's going, and not necessarily that you know, but we do believe in rebirth. And even if you don't believe in that, there is also the concept that we see all the time of, let's say like mushrooms are able to take on the life of a deceased body, and it's able to take those nutrients and bring new life to plants around. So Hinduism deals with death as transformation as well, and I'd like to offer a prayer. I think at least a couple of people here know, they're my plants, know this sloka as well. So if you don't mind chanting it with me, it's the Mahamrityunjaya mantra, and it says pretty much that. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshya Mamratat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So this means that we meditate on Lord Shiva, who is the destroyer. But when you say destroyer, is he the scary being who is supposed to just end everything? No, he is a manifestation of the idea of destruction. He is that which embodies what ends things to then start the new cycle. And in fact, we really need that in life. We really need endings of chapters that are not serving us anymore, or just aren't necessarily, what you were hoping for even. This prayer also says, may he liberate the soul from the bondage of death and grant immortality. And then at the end, it says, Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi, which means Om, peace, peace, peace. So at the end, the whole goal is peace. That's the goal with the process of grief. That's the goal generally when we walk through life. And so it's just a good one to kind of move through to understand what this idea is of transformation from an ending. So if death comes from life, if grief comes, if death comes from life, but then if from death comes more life, if from grief comes recolored love, from old comes new, then it naturally follows that we try to create things when something is ending. It's a way of coping, but it's also something that just sort of flows out of you if you have already been through that process. Try to create, even if haphazardly, even if it's messy and a little chaotic, and embrace the chaos. That has been my slogan for the last month and a half. And I'm going to demonstrate this pretty vulnerably here. So people often ask me, when did this happen? When did this happen to your dog? When did it happen? That specific question is so important. It's like the time stamp matters. But the time didn't matter to me. The time it kept coming up, right? It kept coming up every time I was remembering something new, something that I couldn't walk through without her. So this haphazard poem is about that, and I will try to get through this. When did it happen? When I cried in place of the water I'd fill her bowl up with every day. When the other side of the bed stopped having any pressure for the first time in 11.5 years. When did it happen? When the cadence screwed up like a chord that doesn't resolve. She should be barking after that garage door opens. Or when the broom hits a corner too hard. It's just one noise and not the next. When did it happen? When baby talk became a language I forgot how to use because I couldn't practice it every day anymore. When my yearning for a little more time with her was answered with, "Haven't you had enough?" It will never be enough. When did it happen? When I lost a part of me so conspicuously, but felt an added weight that I couldn't explain and wouldn't show up on any scale. When I lost the strength to carry what should have been 60 pounds, but fire just turned into little over 2 pounds, easily. When my heart broke into all the smallest pieces it's composed of, and her last breath scattered them into the wind, never to be caught together again. When did it happen? When half of me ran backwards to the past, and the other half pulled me forward as time simply does, resulting in me being stunned in my place with a knowing that I could be stuck in this limbo forever, because my heart will never stop searching for her, even though there is nowhere left to search now. Yeah, sorry, that one doesn't have a good ending. But the poem shows that it's the big picture stuff. She was a ball of fur and unconditional love, especially after losing my other dog, Sri, last year, around the same time, both to Lyme disease and old age. I could completely mess up with Simbi, as all humans do. We all mess up. And she would just groan at 2 a.m. when the light in my room was still on and tell me to go to hell to sleep. Why are you still up? So that she could also sleep. She was so picky with her food. And it just made me, need to be more routine-based with her and with myself. She taught me so much just by being her. I could lose my temper out of impatience that she wouldn't take her medication or nearly dislocate my shoulder from running after a squirrel or a deer. It's the only time that she didn't stay right by me, but man, did she take off. And she would still sweetly come to me and be brave enough to just risk more conflict. What if I had gotten angry again when she came back? But she loved me through it. And through that, I broke patterns and I learned. She trained me. And there's no one like that on earth for me. And God, do I make mistakes. It's also the everyday things. It's the everyday things that you heard in the poem, but all of that happens when you're on autopilot. It's like when I come home in a rush or just ready to go to bed and just want to forget the day. And then I walk up the stairs and I forget, I don't have to take a walk outside anymore. I should take that walk though. So here comes the better stuff. There is a solution in some sense that when you're in autopilot, you're going to keep forgetting. You're going to keep forgetting that the loss is something that you have to keep going through. So my suggestion, and the thing that's been helping me a lot, is to try to stay grounded and be present. How do you do that? That's probably the biggest thing, right? How do you stay in the present? It sounds like it's supposed to be the hardest thing in the world, and yet everybody says, all the scholars, all the rishis, everybody, all the gurus say it's supposed to be the easiest thing on earth. You just stay in the present. You just close your eyes, and you open your hands, and you just stay in the present. And when you're in grief, there is no present. You're back in the past, and you're pulled to the forward moments, and you just don't know what you're supposed to do. So there are things that I have found that can kind of guide you back to the present sort of the way you would have to remind yourself how to float if you were to be taken by a current. There's the theory of continuing bonds. There's a thanatologist. It's a scientific study of death and dying. Yes, people really do this. Her name is Cole Imperi, and she discussed this on a podcast that continuing bonds happen even past the loved one being lost. You'll have that connection after their death because the experiences that you want to reach out to them with or share with them, they still exist. You hold them in your memory. You hold them while you go on these walks, while you go to the movies with with the rest of your friends, or you have dinner, maybe without this person in physical form, but you are still having these experiences. And so that continued bond is one that will go on for as long as you have the memory. And I think that's beautiful. I think that means that, just as we talked about already, the relationship never ends. And there are milestones that are going to be remembered a different way. If you lose somebody who is perhaps older than you and you reach that age, that is something that was discussed by Cole and Perry, is that you will reach that age at some point and think, okay, I've reached 60, I've reached 70, I've reached 80. Wow, I'm having that experience that this person had when they passed. Wow, I have actually passed that age. And so that still continues your bond because you are experiencing this now, this age, this time. And like I said, humans are obsessed with time, so it will hit you in a moment. And it can hit you then more positively if you're able to remember, this is a bond that I have with somebody. This isn't necessarily a sentence. I still take drives to remember us going all over town. Whenever I need to clear my head, it's always been my thing, but apparently she latched onto that idea too, and she used to bully me into driving her. We went all the way to New Mexico driving because I knew that she could handle it, and she absolutely did. We went 16 and a half hours the first day and we took the breaks for her walks. But then we got to the hotel room finally, and she was like, what, this? No, I want to get back in the car. What are you doing? Then we drove 8.5 hours the next day and met my friend Brittany and had a blast in New Mexico and came back. It had been probably 2 weeks, I think we were out there. She actually ended up dying in the car. It was a different day, different situation. Like I said, it was the disease, but she died doing what she loved. There's not a lot of us that can even say that happens very often, right? So pay attention to the glimmers. It's the opposite of triggers. And it's kind of a new agey kind of idea, but it's a wonderful one. It's instead of allowing your mind to latch onto every negative thing that happens in the world, which is how we are trained, the amygdala wants to do that so you can avoid the fear-based things so that you can be safe. But the glimmers are the things that are the opposite. The glimmers are the beautiful moments that remind you who you are, what is beautiful about life, what is worth keeping going on for. I learned that she was more wolf than most dogs after, because of a reel that showed up on Instagram, because the algorithm does these things. And I never said wolf, so this isn't one of those moments where it was listening really hard. Apparently, wolves whisper instead of barking. They kind of go like, hoof, 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 instead of actually full-on barks. And it's because barking was trained by humans for detection and for protection. Well, she used to do that little huff, and I always thought it was the funniest thing because I was like, why don't you get the whole thing out? I didn't know any of this. And eventually she did. She ended up howling and everything with Sri. Sri taught her to howl. But it reminded me that Sri taught her to howl, but she also had taught both of us how to do this like voice flip thing. So some of the stuff that I was doing in the singing, that's a Celine Dion song. You know Celine Dion can voice flip. I would never have been able to do that without my dogs. I did not learn that in music school. When you're looking for these glimmers, ask for signs. If you believe that there's another side, I don't want to necessarily preach at y'all. I believe there is, but be specific when you do it. Ask for a cardinal bird, sitting on a tree. Ask for a rainbow specifically when there's a thunderstorm and there's lightning right next to it. Yes, those things happen. I witnessed it. The people I have lost and the animals, they come back in dreams, they come back in signs, they come back in memories, and they come back in moments when I never expect it. Just walking downtown and somebody who's working in the municipality comes up and says, "Hey, I always see you with your dog. Where is she tonight?" And me going, "Oh, it's been 3 days. Damn it." This is kind of soon. But it helped me remember that she was loved by so many more people. About 40 people had stopped me one day when I was at a restaurant and just were like, "Can I pet your dog? Can I pet your dog?" And she knows who to go to and who not to go to. She had that knowledge of who is safe and who not to be around. And it was very interesting watching her. And I could learn boundaries like that. And I heard after that, too, that somebody had a really wonderful time meeting her because his niece had never been brave enough to ask. And so that was a good moment for her, a learning moment for a young girl to be able to come up and ask for, "Can I pet your dog?" kind of a moment. It's a boundary thing, right? So it was great for her to learn that, and he told me after, like, "Hey, that happened, like, how is she?" "Well, it's been a week and a half." But thank you, because that reminded me again. And that's the thing, it's been hard to move through the moments, but it reminds me how loved she was and how blessed I was, how blessed I still am. But be specific when you ask for these signs. They will come. The 5 stages of grief you may have heard of, but they're not actually, apparently, at all about living through the process of grief. It's actually about people who go through the process of dying actively. And so they're not linear. Denial, bargaining, anger, depression, and acceptance. It's not like you can go from denial all the way to acceptance and you're good, and like I said, you don't get that trophy. It's kind of defeating to think that. But then I thought about it. Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross is the one who came up with these 5 stages. My takeaway is that when you experience anger after you've accepted the loss, it's not a setback anymore. It's part of the journey. It means that I'm not failing, that today, maybe in 2 hours, I get really angry about this loss. It's not a setback that maybe later I stop accepting it entirely, forget, and I'm back on autopilot after I've said all of this. And I get all the way up the stairs and think that she's going to be there. It's probably going to happen. But it's not a setback, because not only is this the same thing with the continuing bonds, right? She's still there, and I'm still having these experiences in some way with her. But it's also the fact that the stages of grief are not some sort of accomplishment that you have to go through. You're not going to achieve something except for getting yourself back. And that's the important thing. So if you can stay in each of these stages of grief as who you are, experience all the rage. I'm not saying don't feel the anger, but when you go through the anger, you don't shame yourself for it, you've already won. There's a pleasant little cartoon by Ruth Chan I once saw where a croissant is being made, just like all the little slides are how they're folding the croissant together. And it happily goes on its way being prepared. And then the butter enters. You have to add this butter after the dough. So grief is like butter, Ruth Chan says. It's heavy and solid until it gets folded in, and then it's incorporated. There's like a master chef in this room, so I don't know if any of this is true, but it's a really lovely cartoon, and I have noticed that it is like that. I have been carrying it with me, but it hasn't been as heavy. It hasn't been as hard to consolidate into my body. It hasn't been so hard to incorporate it anymore. And it's just becoming part of me in a different way. And maybe that's because grief is not an emotion. So Colin Perry also says this, it's a process. What that tells me is that you're going to experience the anger, the sadness, the guilt, the displeasure, all of the things. And maybe even some relief sometimes, especially when you're dealing with somebody who maybe has been, in the process of dying for a long time. You may feel that relief of like, wow, I'm just glad they're okay now. I'm glad that they're not feeling that thing. I'm glad maybe even that my burdens are lifted because I didn't know how I was going to do this support thing for so long. And that's okay to feel these things because it's a process and these emotions are going to come and go like waves. It just might mean to pay attention if a mood is incongruent to the situation or more intense than usual, a little bit disproportionate when, something in front of you breaks and suddenly you are absolutely extremely angry and you have no reason to be or something. Maybe it's the grief. And just to be soft with yourself for that. But what's actually happening in grief? Dopamine and oxytocin light up the pleasure centers in the brain when you're in connection with other beings. But when you lose that love, for any reason, especially through death, those chemical levels plummet and stress hormones start to flood in. And these are adrenaline, cortisol, epinephrine. And that can bring waves of anxiety, depression. With the stress hormones, it also launches your nervous system into fight or flight mode. There's that amygdala back into action. So extra blood then is going to flow into your muscles because you are now ready for a war. That's what we were built for, essentially. That's what the tight squeezing sensation is in your chest. And so now that you know sort of all the physiological reasons, how do we deal with this? How do we comfort ourselves through this? There's a lot of ways. You can use these heavy weighted blankets. You can make a good meal for yourself. You can have somebody comfort you, just hug you real tight, get a massage for sure. But there's some ways that I know that have maybe not been discussed as much, and so those are the ones I'll share. Try to, when you're feeling depressed, keep yourself cool. It can feel like heaviness and hotness in the body. And when you're anxious, try to get out of the cold. Try to make sure that you don't have the AC necessarily on. Take a walk outside if it's a nice summer day. Warm yourself up. This is all, this is all part of something that I have been working through in philosophy as a frequency theory for myself. It kind of ties into the string theory, if anybody knows of metaphysics. But essentially, the world is based in what we perceive as sound, but it's based in frequencies. And we can navigate those frequencies. We can move up and down the scales with the material objects around the world or within our own selves with our own thoughts. And you're way more powerful than you think. So in anxiety attacks, I have been able to get a control over it by thinking certain thoughts, sure, but a lot of times it's a material thing. A lot of times it's, I am so cold right now, I need to make sure that I go wrap myself up. And I've stopped thinking that it's high maintenance. That is a really crucial element. Because you should be high maintenance. You are a Porsche, as my ex once said. So treat yourself like it. If you need the room to be cooler, if you need the room to be hotter, and somebody is amenable to it, ask for it. Ask for the things that you need, especially during grief. It's not being selfish, it's taking care of yourself, so that then you can be there, present with everybody. But this idea of being cool when you're anxious and that driving up the anxiety is something that I've noticed with the frequencies. It almost immediately grounds me to then be warmer. And we can get into that another time, but I just wanted to sort of introduce it. And also introduce the ideas in Ayurveda. Ayurveda is an ancient Indian medical technique, system, framework, whatever you'd call it, but it's the science of life. And I'm in my current second year of 3 years of the master's program in this. And how you want to stay present would be through meditation, through heartfulness or transcendental meditation. Either of these systems are good. Grief is a cause of toxin buildup. It's something that happens when the food in your body is not digested fully, and that can happen because of slowing down of metabolic processes. And that food that gets undigested then builds up as toxins. The toxins create more depression. So this is a cycle. So if you can reduce the ama or the toxins, you can reduce the grief as well from the outside. Brahmi and ashwagandha are two herbs that can help with this. And it is also a way of reinstilling the intelligence in your own body to take care of itself. And then there's pranayama, which is a breathing technique. Left nostril breathing is for the cold, to calm down stress and anger, and panic attacks. And then right nostril breathing is to increase the heat to help with depression and grounding. So that's closing the right nostril and breathing through the left is for stress and anger and panic attacks, and then the other side is for depression, to actually bring warmth to your body. And then, of course, there's all the other things that I'll just roll through. Surrounding yourself with the right people, because when you're on the other end of this kind of thing, the wrong ones will fall away from you when you're going through grief. They just will. They won't check on you or do much to support you, and they just kind of vanish. I had to be picked up off the floor multiple times, and once this week, because I was bawling so hard, and I have found really good new friends that I trust. And that's crazy to say, actually, that somebody would do that for me, knowing me so little time, but you will find really great people this way. If you can find yourself into new opportunities and say yes to things, if you commit to essentially a year of yes, saying yes to new opportunities, no matter what it is, as long as it's not dangerous. I'm not saying to get into anything unruly, but if you're feeling comfortable and it's just something you wouldn't normally do, it's just out of your comfort zone, you haven't done karaoke before, you didn't like it, or you haven't started painting because somebody told you once that you can't draw a stick figure, just do it. This is time. So somebody invites you out to dinner. Take the moment. That will help you get out of this loop that you will get stuck in otherwise. And adapting in general. I decided not to read off of this paper. It's not like really verbatim at all. And I had to do bullet points because I knew that I wasn't going to make it through the paper. And then just knowing that this is like the dark night of the soul. That's a concept in psychology. It's a concept in sociology. But a night always means dawn is on the other side. And again, it goes back to that transformation idea. Choose this as your rock bottom. Don't let something else have to come by to then sweep you off of your feet again and make you have to go through these things in a different way. When you're going through the grief, decide, okay, I'm going to choose this moment whenever I'm strong enough to re-examine my life and change the things that I want to change and become the most me I can be. Because life always has another way of handing you lessons, is what I've learned. And you don't want those lessons. In that way, maybe the hardest thing to talk about, and one of the last few things I'll say is, I have also come up with this thing called the Phoenix Theory that has gotten me through the last 6-7 years. I've had suicidal ideations, I've had attempts, and the thing that has really stopped me lately has been this idea that I don't necessarily know that anybody wants to specifically die. Yeah, that's the vehicle to get this whole thing over with, right? But the idea isn't to die. The idea is for the life situation to stop being that, not the life. And so the Phoenix Theory is that you will keep being burned down into ashes and come back up. Keep being burned down and come back up. But you can do it. You can come back up. That's the whole point. Instead of thinking, I have to end something because the grief is too strong, or I have to end something because the suffering is too much. You don't want the life to end, you want the life situation to end. And that is okay. The situation probably sucks, and that is all right for you to want that to end. And so just come back out of the ashes. Let the beauty come from the ashes. Everyone is grieving something. And if it's not something in terms of actual death, it's called a shadow loss. So you may have lost a job. You may have lost the dreams that you thought you would have had, the future you thought you were going to have with somebody, a relationship. A couple of weeks before Simbi passed, I took a break from someone I was with for 8 months prior to that. And today I ended things after trying to reopen the connection and realizing how much harm would keep going. So just know that everybody is grieving something, and that means to treat everybody with grace. And that's what I've been learning the most. To reach out and help somebody else, because not only will it help them, but it'll also help you back. Francis Weller in The Wild Edge of Sorrow calls grief work soul activism because, and Paul's really going to like this, it is a form of resistance against the way we have been socially conditioned to be disconnected. He says grief is subversive, undermining our society's quiet arrangement that we will behave and be in control of our emotions. It is an act of protest, a refusal to live numb and small. There is something feral about grief, something essentially outside the ordained and sanctioned behaviors of our culture. So what that tells me is this means to fight for those who are suffering around us as well. When you have the ability to move through what's going on for you, even you don't have to be perfect and healed and happy, but to move through it and reach out that hand, because not only will you be held, but you're helping somebody else. And service is one of the best ways to get through these things. Let loss free you of your fears, because the worst has already happened, and that's the truth. So don't be reckless, but tackle the things that you've kept yourself from doing because you were too anxious or afraid, because now nothing compares to the feeling that you have. And that's how I started singing again. No stage fright, no nothing is gonna compare to losing my dog or the dreams that I've had with this person. So nothing's too hard or scary anymore, and it at least has helped me get outside of this block that I've had and come back to living. The imposter syndrome of being able to organize in community has melted away. And that's why I did the protest that you might already know of. So last thing to conclude with, and thank you so much for giving me this extra time. I'm thinking that y'all have been here a while. You'll notice that I had taken all these steps that I was talking about myself. I started with where I was at in the beginning, letting y'all know how I was feeling in the moment. Then went to willing hands, then breathing exercise, using one word to try to simplify this complex feeling, then expanding into more expression with more words and vocalizing it because I'm in front of y'all, because that would be weird if I just stood up here and didn't say anything. But I made the most of this moment to then account what happened, the actual story of what happened to Simbi or how I'm feeling about it. Then the meaning making and the shadow side of that is spiritual bypassing, and you may have even noticed that. Because there's always a shadow side to some of these things. You can make the meaning and then you're stuck in that and you're seeking the meaning so much that you end up being, you're not actually going through the process anymore. So you probably noticed that. You might have noticed the creating, using the creative expression of the poem. And then the information seeking, actually talking about the physiological and the medical ways to get through things, the recommendations. And there's a shadow side to that too, that's intellectual bypassing. Can we do anything right? No. But that's the point. You're going to have those teetering effects. And that's okay. And so you followed me through that as well. Those moments where we're now we're stuck in this moment of, we're not talking about grief anymore, really. We're talking about how to, manage things, side effects, this and that. It turns into intellectual bypassing if you're not really being aware that, you need to be back in the present with yourself. And then we, followed me through the theories I've come up with or the values I attached to, and then connecting to larger society and the call to action and learning lessons through that and service finally. So I hope that kind of helps you at least see just demonstratively how I've been moving through things, and I hope it's kind of given you even just one takeaway that you might be able to use if you are also going through something or have in the past. We all will, we're all humans, and somebody around you is probably going through something, so I hope this helps. And thank you so much for letting me do this in my messy, chaotic way. I really will be sticking around for a little while after, so if y'all have stories that you want to bring me, I will not say a peep. You just talk to me. I will be your shoulder, because that is what Charleston has been for me, so thank you.
Before I read our closing words, I'm going to add a few of my own. We all know the 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. But I have found there to be one more, one that comes long after we have accepted our loss, When I think back about those I have lost over the years, I often smile. I remember the funny things my dad said, or the endearing things Mom did, or the cute things my little doggies did. I don't think about the bad things. I remember the good. And that makes me smile and feel fortunate that they were in my life. Our grief is a holy thing. It is that proof that another life touched ours in a profound way. It is the mark of love, the mark of connection, the mark of a life well lived. We will mourn, we will cry, we will miss those who left us. Time will move on and we may not hurt like we hurt now. But then a thought or a bit of music or a smell will remind us of them, and it will all come back. Those moments too are holy. The reminders of that connection that will never fully go away. It's important to hold on to that connection because it is through those memories that they stay with us. In our memories, love and connection stay alive, and with it, a part of them. So hold on to those memories. Tell the stories that make you smile, that make you laugh. Share the memories with people who knew them and people who didn't. May they remind you of the beauty of their life, of their passion, and their connection to us. And may it bring you peace.